And a good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin with you. Hope you're having an awesome start to your day. Nick Frazier on the ones and twos as well. JoJo, what's up?
Hey, man, it's quite a different view than we had the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's a little colder as well, which I'm not a fan of, but, we'll get used to it. We can't look, we really can't complain. We had an awesome time in Miami and got to see the Titans get a win. So, come back to reality. That's exactly what we've done.
And I come back to fighting the in-studio microphones today, too, as well. So
yes,
they are not my best friend. But that's all right. We're good. We're back. It's good to be back in our hometown.
Dr. Crane, did you miss us?
I did. I was kind of curious where everybody's going to be today. And sure enough, there's Joe, and we're just missing you, but I see you on the screen.
Well, I'm here. There was, I guess, a wreck or something. I don't know. The interstate by my house was a mess, and I'm like, this could end poorly if I try and wait this out. So I just decided to come to the home studio.
You are correct. There's a bad wreck on I-40 eastbound on the west side of town. So
yep, that's exactly where I'd be going. So.
Yep. Well, at least, we spent a couple days in the Miami traffic, which I think Chase was a little scared of my road rage in the Miami traffic. But you know what? I've got a problem. If you don't use two things, if I let you out, just wave at me, okay?
Yep.
Just that's a simple wave, and I'm grateful, and I'm thankful. Just wave at me. And secondly, is use your turn signal. Nobody in Miami uses a turn signal.
No, they really don't, and that would piss me off too. Like, here's the thing: you drove the whole time, and thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I know you enjoyed that. But
love it.
Had I been driving, you would have seen my road rage too. I would have. And I thought about it. I'm like, I almost flipped somebody off on your behalf. I'm like, if I do that, and we get into a fight or something, I didn't want any bad stuff to happen, because I've also noticed, and it's a comment, it's an observation on my part. I just feel like people are a lot more rude in Miami than they are here.
I'll just imagine when that lady wanted to come over and she had her blinker on and I didn't let her come over, and then she got around me and was yelling at me, and I started screaming back at her in the interstate. Can you imagine what the people behind us are thinking? Because they can't hear anything. There's look at this big fat bald guy screaming at this sweet lady, and I was like, use your turn signal. And she's like, you need him. I can imagine what she's yelling at me, but just use your turn signal. It's that simple. That is the bottom line. Use your turn signal.
Yeah, I agree, and she didn't. So, but we made it. We're back, and talking about a Titans win. Just not what any of us were expecting when we went. When we went down there, that we'd be coming back, and that's
right.
So what we would be discussing, but we are. And I also didn't expect Zach Wilson and Tommy DeVito to be the players of the week, but. The world we live in now.
That is, I listen to Robbie and Rexrow with Paul, and I laugh every time, Chase, every time an athlete tweets back at Paul, they're going to take an L, right? Every time. And he's talking about Dylan Radins tweeting back to him about whatever happened and all that stuff. And then we were laughing about DeAndre Hopkins, about how all these athletes tell you, I don't read or see anything. And you were telling me that Hopkins reads and sees everything. Everything.
Oh, yeah. And you could tell the other night. We were standing there. I started his availability, and I could tell he didn't really want to, but he kind of knew he had to.
Right,
he'd been such a big part of the game. And that's fine. I get it. You just played a game. You're tired. The last thing you want to do is talk to us, but it comes with it. And so he kind of had that oh yeah, I've been hearing and seeing what y'all been saying. Y'all didn't think we could do this,
right?
And I love that. I love that attitude. I said that, have a little bit of that, behind, that energy, that chip on your shoulder. But at the same time, it was very, very close to, yeah, we were right. That's how that game went. So, but hey, that's why you play a full 60.
Yeah.
And they got the win.
Yeah, people still talking about it just because, we were – and by the way, folks, if you don't think Titans fans travel to cover that or see that team –
that was awesome.
Our flight back from Miami last night was packed with Titans fans. There were a few Dolphin fans on there as well, but it was packed with Titans fans who made the trip down. and come back up to Nashville. And they were all happy and elated and excited and all that. So it was, with 3 minutes to go, this one guy was like, you know what? Dolphin fans, the guy before we got on the plane said, Dolphins fans were just giving it to me with 3 minutes to go. Ha, you made the trip down here. Ha, ha, ha. And then when he turned around after they sacked Tua and the game was over, he looked around and he said, all those fans were gone.
Yep.
It's like, oh,
I mean,
nice.
a lot of people left early.
Yeah,
a lot of
they
people
did.
left early for sure. I laughed yesterday when Mike Vrabel did his media availability, because one thing that you and I discussed both on the air and off the air is I love the tenacity that Will Levis plays with, but he's still trying to find that line of being aggressive and being smart. And sometimes when he uses his legs, he's not all that smart. He's, doing the Superman fly through the air, and it literally is that scene of, from Major League where he's like, that was really impressive. Don't ever bleep and do it again.
Right.
And so Mike Vrabel was asked about that yesterday, and his answer was absolutely priceless.
Will's running obviously adds a nice dimension, but I believe last week after the helicopter, you talked about him being careful, and then he was throwing his shoulder around a couple different occasions yesterday. How do you kind of use that element, temper the injury risk?
I don't know. I think we're still trying to work on that. We showed them examples of quarterbacks sliding and using the rules to their advantage. I guess we'll have to show them examples of quarterbacks not sliding and getting the knocked out of them. So we're going to try the other way this week.
I thought that was there's no other way to put that, though. It's like, we've shown you what to do.
Right.
That's not working. Let's show you what not to do.
I don't think it's going to help at all. I think he's going to go for the extra yard. And you know what? And his teammates love, when saw in the locker room coming off the field the night, I mean, they were just elated for him. And now this team's got their warrior. They got their quarterback. They got their leader for, if you're a Titans fan, hopefully the next 10, 12 years. And now you build around him. But yeah, I don't think he's going to change his stripes come this Sunday if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think that he's got to be him. And because, like, what are you going to do? Like, if he makes an aggressive play like that, you're going to bench him?
No, not at all.
I mean, you don't want him to get hurt. And, I mean, he may have to learn the hard way. But that's their whole thing is, like, we don't want you to get hurt. We need you.
Yeah,
you're
what's the
starting
alternative?
Quarterback for this team.
I mean, they got a decent backup if you want to call Ryan Tannehill backup. But other than that, man, I mean, it's Wildcat with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I think that but Wildcat with Derrick Henry, that would be something for the whole game.
Malik Willis or Derrick Henry? What would you rather
Derrick
have?
Henry and the
Derrick
Henry.
Exactly.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. You.
Yeah,
at this point.
I can sling it. So that's the good part about that is
I've seen that. But yeah, so now the short week as the Titans and /Oilers prepare for the Texans to come to town. I mean, a week ago I would have said Texans are probably going to come in here and have their way, but I also feel like the Texans are coming back down to earth a little bit.
Well, I mean, they get beat by Zach Wilson like that last Sunday. Absolutely it is. But again, I told you yesterday, the Titans can play spoilers, go out and knock the Texans out of the playoffs, go out knock Seattle next week, maybe knock them off the playoffs. Jack come here, knock them off of getting, first-round bye or something. There's a lot to play for because you can upset other teams on your schedule. And then you finish with Houston as well and then go ahead and completely knock them out of the playoffs. So that's 4 games when you got a lot of redemption going on, and a lot can happen in 4 games, Chase McCabe.
Yeah, I did see that. I believe the Titans have a 1% chance of making the playoffs.
They also,
so you're telling me there's a chance.
They also had a 0.3% chance to beat Miami, I was told.
Yeah.
And that happened.
Yeah. I thought it was great. And anybody that's still saying, well, it cost them a draft pick, and now I think I looked last night, they're 8th in the draft order. Like, you just can't focus on stuff.
I have yet to meet somebody who said that. Is that a thing? I've seen
it. I've seen it on Twitter.
Okay, I've yet to meet anybody who says, "Hey, we got."
Twitter's a different world than the real world, so
it's not real life. You know that Twitter is not real life.
Yeah, it is not. So, You can text us, call us. I'm trying to read a text. Sorry. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dylan says, Chase, you have to look up the most recent post Levi's had on his story. Also, Vrabel said they showed Levis videos of quarterback sliding. He didn't listen, so he said they're going to show him videos of quarterbacks getting popped while not sliding. Yeah, we just played the clip. So thank you, Dylan. But, yeah, I'll have to check out the story. I haven't looked at that on his social medias yet. But you and I stood in the interview room with him. I like his energy. I mean, that's the first time that I've really done that and gotten to be that close to him. I mean, he's got a vibe, and I think that's contagious.
Well, I think it's a quarterback vibe. He had it at Kentucky when they played really well. He had it, especially in 21 when Kentucky was rolling, and last year wasn't so great for him. But if you go back and watch that Ole Miss game when he played at Kentucky, he got the hell beat out of him, but stood in the pocket and delivered. And you see his toughness. It's a tough kid. But you know what? He keeps bringing up, and I love it. He's got the Tom Brady chip on his shoulder like, I should have gone the first round. You didn't. I am where I am. I am where I'm supposed to be. And I'm going to prove to all 31 teams that you guys made a mistake. And I like that. I did, because Brady always pulled that up like, I went in the 6th round. I was 199th pick, and here's what I can do. And the chip on the shoulder, you keep that chip on your shoulder for a long time, you can do amazing, fun things. And so I like what he does. Now, he might go out Sunday and play. It's going to happen. There's another game he's going to play. Many games he's going to play terrible. But it's just, you take the good with the bad and the bad with the good and move on from there.
Yeah, and look, he had a pick 6 in this game, and that was his first one, and he had 2 almost interceptions that he was trying to make aggressive throws. So, I mean, he's still got things that he's having to learn from. Ron on our text line says, tell him, Joe, good win. Now get back to losing. I think Joe was agreeing with me, actually. Now get back to losing. The game was the seed being planted. Now nourish what you have and take care of it to build forward. Please, no more winning the rest of the games.
That's just get out of here. Who said that? Ron? Ron, get out of here. If you want your team to lose, hit the road, man. That's just so stupid. I'm sorry.
Andrew says, not looking like a poverty franchise on Monday Night Football is worth a few positions in the draft. That was a great win.
Yeah.
That can do so much for the young players. So much.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Levis does love him some TB12, a QB after Vrabel's own heart.
Hey, as long as you win and show up and prepare hard and work hard, fine.
That's what you got to do.
That's exactly what you did. And I wish he would do that some days here.
Well, yeah, I try.
You do try.
I try my best.
He does work hard, Joe. He's the suit.
Thank you, Nick. Nick's trying to get a raise or something. That was
Nick
good.
Nick wants 2 days off.
No, that's all right.
I'm kidding. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line driven by Wilson County Hyundai. We'll continue the Titans talk. The great John McClain going to join us at 9:30. We'll get his thoughts on the NFL and also this matchup between the Titans and Texans this weekend. Ryan O'Reilly, the Predators, get an overtime win last night at Bridgestone Arena. He'll join us at 10, and then Hal Gill at 10:30. So a lot of Predators talk today as well. It's Chase and Big Joe here on a Wednesday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I think everybody as a player, like, you need to be who you are. Now, it doesn't mean like you run wild in either direction, right? But I think that, look, if you're a fiery, passionate guy, and that's just like naturally in you, and it's authentic, then I think you have to be that. And there probably are times where, you maybe are getting a little too high, and you have to be aware of that, or too low, and you need to be aware of that, and how your body language is maybe, affecting the team in a certain way. But I think that if you're somebody that just naturally reacts to and plays with passion, then you have to allow it to happen. Look, a little bit like I think how you have to coach. Like when I see Mike Vrabel in his interactions, I'm like, he's being himself. Like that's how he is. You know what I mean? Go talk to the punt returner. What happened? Yeah, well, this is what I think about that. Like I just think that you need to be authentic and be yourself, because when that happens, the team trusts you because you're being true.
That was Tim Hasselbeck yesterday on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mays talking about Will Levis and his energy. And I agree. Be who you are. Be authentic. That's how we are on the Chase and Big Joe show.
That
Chase
is
McKay,
how
Big
we
Joe
are.
Dubin.
Hey, I got a few people that are weighing in with me saying about they went to the game and how pleasant their experience was in Dolphin Stadium. And so I kind of came to mind is like our question to throw out there. What's the most pleasant? We often talk about the negative and the hate and getting yelled at by opposing teams and their fans. What's the most pleasant stadium you've ever been to? Because I've got like 5 of these. Like, hey, we had a great time. Dolphins fans were so nice. So what's the most pleasant experience? Even after your team kicked the other team's butt, they said, people were like, hey, great game. You came and, did it to us. We always see the video, Chase, of the fans fighting after the game and in the stands, especially out in Vegas and up in New York or Philly. But, what's the most pleasant experience you've had going into another team's stadium? I'm curious to hear this.
Okay,
also, Matt Reed says, I value Matt Reed's opinion a lot. He says, I agree with you 100%. Nobody plays to lose for draft position. If you think that way, you're just a complete idiot. And I agree.
Yeah, look, Ron has responded back. And Ron, appreciate your listening and weighing in. Says, Joe, you don't want to build a better roster. We need one of these NFL-ready receivers coming out of the draft, plus some O-linemen and secondary help, and you want to keep winning and push our draft pick back more. We got to sacrifice something, and I say sacrifice games instead of players getting hurt. Look to the future. Ron, I understand everything you're saying, but walk into that tight – like you weren't in there Monday night, and we got to be. If I had walked into that locker room and I had looked around and I go, hey, guys, congratulations. Can you stop doing that so we can get a top 5 draft pick?
Yeah. Do you mind?
I would have gotten my ass beat.
Yeah. Do you mind?
Like that it doesn't work that way. I mean, I get it. Tank and have that thought and get a good draft pick and try and get a Marvin Harrison or somebody like that. You cannot tell that to those guys.
Oh no, you can't, and it's just so dumb. And I hate the narrative. I hate we even bring it up. For me, going back to the nicest stadium, it's weird because years ago, covering the Titans when they played the 49ers at Candlestick Park, everybody was so friendly. I mean, it was so friendly. Titans even won that game out there in 2009, but they were so friendly with every winter. I'm like, is this a home game? And, 49er fans love to travel. When the NFL draft was here, there were more 49er fans than anybody else that was here. But it's weird when you go someplace and they treat you really, really nice when all you hear is about how bad it's going to be when you get there.
Okay, so here's mine, and then we'll get to Wes's phone call. Mine actually happened this year, and it may surprise people, but it's one of the best experiences I've ever had going to see my team play at an away stadium, and it was at Wrigley. I mean, I call it the friendly confines for a reason. We sat out in the outfield in the bleachers, and we were trash talking, but it was fun, and we're buying everybody. They're buying beers, I'm buying beers. We were just having a really good time. The Braves end up losing, and of course they're giving me crap for it at the end of the game, but it was just I never met these people in my life, and we were acting like we were old buddies, and it was a fun experience. So even though my team lost, I had a great time at the game because I guess it lived up to the name, the Friendly Confines.
Oh, look at you. Well, it also helps when your team is getting their butt kicked, and the home team is winning that way. And
Yes.
but we've all too often. I mean, we'll see that on Instagram or the video reels of opposing teams and fans getting into it in the stands. But I got to tell you, Miami was extremely pleasant. I mean, when I was down there taking those 50 shirts they were handing out, everybody down there was really nice, and it was a good time. I brought Dr. Crane back a shirt too, Chase.
Thank you.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I was happy when Joe walked in and said, "Hey, I got you a present." Like, really? A new shirt? I was like, "Heck yeah, I'm all about it."
For those that the Dolphins game, they're giving her really cool like dry fit workout shirts, and I walked up. The girl's like, "You want one?" I'm like, "Well, let me look at them first." She's like, "You want 1, 5, or 50?" I want to go. She said, "I want to go home early." I said, "I'll take 50," and then she basically handed me a whole box and was like, "Okay," and then she was gone. I was like, "Oh, nice."
And then, it got awkward when you walked in the Titans locker room and started handing them out.
Yeah,
But,
I was like, "Here you go, here you go," and they were like, "What is this?" I was like, "Just wear it out of here."
Let's go to the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Wes in Hermitage has been waiting patiently. Wes, what's up?
Oh, good morning, fellas. Man, I just, first off, I got to say that Vrabel clip got me this morning, man. I have not laughed
so good.
that hard at a Vrabel clip since Joe's frenzy fingers is what I like to call it with the hand signals. Man, but listening to that, man, it just made me think, and I just wanted y'all's opinion on this. There was a lot of talk even after the Atlanta game and a couple of games after that where people are saying, oh, well, the Titans really just need to figure this out. They need to know if Will Levis is the quarterback, and they need to know which direction they're going to go in the draft. And, again, they say they don't listen to that, but we know these players hear everything that's being said on social media. So I think this is just, Will Levis's way of showing Vrabel and the team, like, hey, make no question about it, I am your dude. Whether I throw an interception and I have to run down the field and cause a fumble and recover it, or whatever it is that I need to do, man, you put me in a position, you give me a little bit of something, and I am your man. And I think that's why he's out there laying around and putting himself, diving head first and trying to lay out linebackers in the end zone for whatever reason. I just think he's trying to make it a point to let everybody know that he's here and he's not going anywhere. That's all I got.
I think that's a very good point. Thanks, Wes. I mean, I've been thinking about this, Joe, of, it's so hard to find a franchise quarterback in this league. I mean, there's very few instances where you draft a guy and you go, that guy's going to be the quarterback 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, Peyton Manning, they probably thought that in Indy, which I guess actually wasn't the case, because I think 10 years later would he have already been in Denver, or was he still in? No, he was still in Indy. But so, you have instances like that. I'm sure San Diego thought that Ryan Leaf was going to be their guy, and he wasn't. I mean, it's just very hard to figure it out. But I watch Levis and his energy and, how he is making throws and he's not afraid to be aggressive. And it does feel like that, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, he's probably the guy under center.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing, is it's a hit or miss. It's why that quarterback in professional sports is the most important position. All you soccer bozos and baseball bozos can try to get at me for whatever. But no, I'm telling you, quarterback is the most important position in sports. And when you find one, your franchise is much, much better. That's like, when Andrew Luck left the Colts after 2018, 7 seasons. How many quarterbacks they've been through since then? I mean, I stopped counting after 70. I mean, it's crazy. Cleveland the same way. So when you find that one who you could just develop and loves being here and everything, it really makes a difference in your friend. Look at all the Super Bowl teams. I mean, there's a few you could pick out and say, well, look at Trent Dilfer or Brad Johnson or blah, blah, blah. But still, I mean, you get that quarterback and you're set. It's probably 90% of the battle.
It is totally 100%. And, you gotta have that guy. I mean, that you can try and bank, like, had everything been perfect, had they not traded A.J. Brown and, you had him and D-Hop, and you have just this vaunted offensive line, this team probably could have at least competed and maybe won a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill, who is not a franchise quarterback, at least now. We know that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of room for error. I mean, Mike Vrabel even said it. We have to be perfect around him. And with Levis, I think the jury's still out. But I do think that he's shown me some signs of, as he gets more weapons and he gets more protection, like this is a guy that can carry the team and he can win big games. I mean, he did it the other night. It was a come-from-behind victory. He led them down the field, and they won that football game. I think that's just a sign of things to come with Will Levis. It's one game, but it certainly looked very nice. Let's squeeze in Cam's call real quick on a nice in another stadium. Cam, what's up?
Yeah, do you guys remember several years back, Vanderbilt was on that 4-0 skit, and that player got on and went viral talking about, they were going to beat Alabama. Anyways, I was at that game. I was on the 50-yard line on the Vanderbilt side. I'm all decked out in crimson, and the first drive, Alabama got stopped by Vanderbilt, and they were losing their minds. But by the third quarter, the stadium was starting to, kind of dissipate, and everybody was walking by me. They were like, hey, good luck when y'all play LSU in 2 weeks, because I think Alabama ended up beating them 56-6 or something crazy like that. But everybody was so cool after just taking a beating, and they were all optimistic that we could beat LSU. That's all I got.
Cool. Thanks for the call, Cam. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I remember that interview for some reason, Chase.
Why do you remember that?
I was the one that interviewed the Vanderbilt player on the field. They just beat Kansas State. They were 3-0, and I said, "What does this do for your program?" And he said, "Oh, this is great. Alabama, you're next. You don't know what's gonna you don't know what's gonna hit you. You're up next." And then they played that clip for Saban the next week. It got almost 5 million views. Because of that interview, Vanderbilt stopped letting you interview people on the players on the field. They stopped doing that. And that was me and Justin Beasley. And he uploaded the clip. It went nearly 5 million views on it. Saban played it the next week and says, "Oh, we don't mean anything by then." And I think Bama won either 45-0 or 59-0 in that game.
Was that when? I think it was 59-0. Was that Tua's debut?
It might have been. It was 2017.
I think it was. And that was here, right?
That was here. Yeah, you're right.
It was. I went to that game and left pretty quick.
Yep, there you go.
But that was 100% when Tua made his debut.
My bad.
Yeah, good job, Joe. All right, we will talk to John McClain, the great John McClain, next. Get his thoughts on this matchup this weekend and all things around the NFL. We'll do that next. Chasing Big Joe, presented by Regal Realty Group, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Let's, as we always do at this time on Wednesdays, bring in our man, John McClain. John, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. You guys sure had a fun trip to South Florida, didn't you?
We did. We did not expect the result that we got on Monday night, but what did you think about that comeback, being down by 2 touchdowns, and Will Levis leads his team to victory? I thought it was a gutsy decision to go for 2, and Mike Vrabel did, but it was the right one, and they get the W.
Mike's a genius again. It's amazing, isn't it? Everybody's ready to run him out of town. Now he looks smart, and I thought they'd get blown out by the Dolphins. Miami's really good at home. I was watching their game and trying to keep up with the other one a little bit, because of Tommy DeVito and his agent. But I thought at the end, when they fumbled the punt, and then when the bad pitch from Levis to Henry, I thought, okay, that's over. It's just a matter of will the Dolphins score again. And it was one of the most miraculous comebacks I've seen. Everything the Titans needed to do right, they did. Everything the Dolphins needed to do wrong, they did. It was a huge victory. That'll do so much for your confidence. And especially going up in this game against the Texans, who just were shellacked by the Jets 30-6 in the worst game of the season. And so I thought it was. I'm happy for Vrabel. I don't know Will Levis, but to be 3-3, and I'll tell you what, he needs to temper the way he plays. I know Vrabel talked about that. He can go nuts on the sideline. That's fine. But, boy, he can't go nuts. He keeps playing like that. I saw him lower his shoulder one time when there was a lineman coming in. He had a collision, and I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, that's the best way to have some shoulder separation. I'll guarantee you Vrabel and Tim Kelly, if they didn't go ballistic on the sideline, they were going ballistic on the inside.
Did you hear Vrabel's comments and what he said yesterday?
About teaching him to slide?
Yeah. Now they're going to show him videos of what not to do, essentially.
Yeah, basically it's what he did, because it's great. Fans love a player who does that. But, man, as you're finding out all over the league, and the Titans found it out with Ryan Tannehill, so many guys are having to play, and it was a great move for Levis. I think we all knew he's going to start at some point because they had to see what they had. But like Tommy DeVito, there's some great success stories. Jake Browning, but you still generally don't want to play your backup quarterback. The Texans have a backup, Davis Mills, who won in Nashville last year with a terrible team, and he's going to be without his leading receiver, Nico Collins, and they lost Tank Dell the week before. Then they didn't have Dalton Schultz this week, plus they can't run the ball worth a darn. But Mills, Texans have won 3 of the last 4 up there. And 2 years ago, when the Texans were at their worst, remember when the Titans came here and everything was going well and they had to win to get home field advantage, and Mills threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. It had a rating of like 126, and Titans won by 3. So they've seen what Davis Mills is capable of doing. This new staff here is not, because he hadn't played, because C.J. Stroud has been tremendous, but now he has a concussion. They haven't ruled him out. They never do. But most of us think Mills will be starting on Sunday.
We're talking to the great John McClain this morning on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. And, John, I saw your tweet on Sunday about the passing of Frank Wycheck, and Nashville is hurting because we love that guy a lot on and off the field. You tweeted something. You first saw him at a practice in Maryville, Tennessee, between the Redskins and Oilers. Take us back to that moment, if you don't mind.
Frank played for the Redskins, and he was I think it was going into his 3rd year, and they were playing a game at UT, and they wanted to practice against each other. And so they went to Maryville. And I remember being there, sitting on the sideline with Charlie Casserly, the general manager of the Redskins, who would become the general manager of the Texans. And so we were talking about all their players. I had to get the inside scoop because my wife grew up in D.C. and lives and dies with the Redskins. So I was asking Charlie a million questions. And then he came to a guy, Frank Wycheck, who he said they had tried to move to fullback, and that didn't work because he was more of an H-back, good receiver, very smart. They had high hopes for him. and Frank had really good practices. And I told Floyd, I pointed him out, and he said, "Yeah, I've been watching him." And I told him what Catchley said, and nobody thought the Redskins would cut him, but they did, and the Oilers jumped all over him. And in his 2 years here before they moved, he got here the same year as Steve McNair, Chris Sanders. They had a lot of players that came in under Jeff Fisher in Jeff's first full year as the head coach, and they went 8-8 under terrible circumstances. And Frank really didn't have a chance to emerge as a player or a personality. In the second year, their last year here, when Eddie George was NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year with more than 1,300 yards, and Frank emerged. He had his career-high touchdown catches here. Chris Chandler was a quarterback. McNair only started 6 games in his 2 years here, but Frank emerged, and then, of course, the rest is history when he got to Nashville to play the first 2 years for the Tennessee Oilers. And one of the things that always stood out for me with Frank is I did a lot of charity work in Nashville, hosted events, and 13 years in a row I did it for the Charles Davis Foundation. And Jeff Fisher was gracious enough to come to every year. And, man, he brought a great array of guests, and there was a lot of them, like Jim Schwartz was there, Dave McGinnis. And the thing that we did at the Lowe's, we always told them, it was like Vegas. Whatever was said there could not leave there. And Frank came several years. I had Eddie George, Steve McNair, Vince Young came 2 years in a row. But, man, Frank came several years. And Frank could have been there, I think, because not only was he great on the radio and as a talk show host, but he was also great as an analyst, and he kissed enough babies. He got it. It was real. It was genuine. There's nothing phony about Frank. He just loved being out in the public, and he loved Nashville, and he loved Middle Tennessee. And I know a lot of people are mourning up there because he died, especially way too young. But I always remember him not just as a great player, but also as a great person in the community.
John, how critical was Frank Wycheck to the success of getting Steve McNair rolling and giving Steve McNair confidence, especially in those early years, 97, 98, and so forth?
Joe, he was, and they developed a relationship here in their 2 years together. A lot of the players wanted Steve to start. They didn't want Chris Chandler as the starter. They knew Steve had talent because Steve signed a 7-year contract. You can't do that anymore. But they knew they had time to develop him, and they thought because he played at a small college he would need more time. But it was obvious about the athleticism, the arm, and everything. And so he and Frank, as they came in together, they had that relationship. And then when he became a starter in Nashville, Frank was kind of his safety valve. Steve wasn't going to throw a lot of deep passes right away. He wasn't going to accuracy wasn't his forte right away, but he always knew where Frank was going to be, whether it was a short route, whether it was an intermediate route, going over the middle, going to the sideline. If it was 3rd and 6, Frank would be at 7 yards, and they knew that. And he was very comfortable with Frank, so Frank played a major role in Steve becoming the great quarterback he became.
John McClain is with us from Houston. We'll have more with him, including this matchup this weekend between the Oilers and the Texans here in Nashville. We'll do that next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jason Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin on a Wednesday, continuing our conversation with the great John McClain, sportsradio610.com in Houston. That's where you can read his work, and, of course, does a lot of radio appearances across the country. So, John, the Oilers back in the throwbacks this weekend against Houston. I don't think the players really give a crap about that, do they? It's more the fans,
Players
right?
don't give a rat's you know what about that. And here they were on my talk show midday yesterday. They were trying to make a big deal. I said, guys, I'm way beyond that. That was a bigger deal when the season started. Texas are going to be without Stroud. They're going to be without some of their best players. They're in a must-win situation. They're 7-5 in the thick of the wild card race, one game out of first place. Who cares what uniform the Titans are wearing? I'll mention it in my pregame preview, and that's it. But unless I'm asked on the talk show, I don't even think about it. Now, all I know is when I said I liked it before the season, everybody's ready to run me out of town here. And the reason I like it is because all those players I covered for 20 years, they like it. You know, Dan Pastorini, Robert Bazile, White Shoes Johnson, Billy's going to be honored. And I think it's great when they play the video of him doing the funky chicken. That was one of the early touchdown dances. He's such a great guy. And so all those guys love it. It's never going to happen here. If it's going to happen somewhere, it's in Nashville. So I can't wait to see it. What the Texans need to be worried about is Derrick Henry. It amazes me on Monday night. You limit Derrick Henry 34 yards and 2 yards carry, you ought to win the game, especially when you rush for 158 and average 5.1. For my column that I'm writing about the Texans and Henry, as you mentioned on sportsradio610.com, Henry is lucky he hasn't been arrested here for assault and battery. He is in the last 5 games, he's averaging 203 yards a game and 7.1 a carry. Last year they were celebrating. They held him to 126 and 5.4 carry, and they won the game up there, 19-14. The last time he didn't have 100 against the Texans was the first time they played in 2019 when he had 86. And then he started the string of 4 in a row with over 200. And the Texans caught a huge break in 2021 because they had 2 games against the Titans when he was injured. And so they got lucky. So the Texans are playing great run defense right now. And if they're ever going to limit him to less than 100 again, this would be the Sunday to do it.
John, you know Bud Adams really well. And a few years ago, somebody told me that, you know, if Bud Adams had said, you know, tongue-in-cheek, if they win 2 games all year, he'd be happy as long as both of those are against the Houston Texans. Did you ever get that kind of disdain that Bud had for that franchise and wanting to beat them so bad?
He wanted to beat them, and it wasn't disdain. I think it was Bud never understood why Houston would not build him a new stadium, and they were so quick to build one for Bob McNair. Well, the reason was they'd lost their franchise, and the city here, the politicians, the business leaders screwed Bud royally. We never even had a referendum on he only won $180 million. He was going to put in the rest, and so we never had a referendum. We had 2 for the Rockets. The first one failed, so they had another one that passed. And Bud taking the Oilers to Nashville was the best thing that happened to the Astros and Rockets because the voters panicked, and both of them were threatening the lease, so they built them Taj Mahals, and I think that was it. Bud had to hear about the Texans every day, constantly, and I know he was happy with the way things have worked out in Nashville. Amy Adams-Strunk, of course, is ecstatic about the way things have worked out up there, and I always get excited when they play. We've never had the kind of rivalry between the Titans and the Texans as there should be. And one reason is they're not playing for the playoffs every year. It's not like the Astros and Rangers this year where they played 13 times. Every game was crucial. They played in the World Series. There's so much hostility between organizations. And this one hadn't had it. 1 or 2 years when Fisher and Kubiak as the coaches, they were both good, but basically they've never been good playing for something. And if the uniforms are what it takes to get people riled up, so be it. It just should be a whole lot more intense than it is.
I totally agree. And one more about Bud, John. What would Bud Adams think about Derrick Henry? I know he passed away before Derrick came here. You spent a lot of time around Bud when he had Earl Campbell and Eddie George. What would you think Bud think about Derrick Henry?
He would love Derrick Henry because Bud was old school. He liked the running backs that ran over people, that were physical, that took a licking and kept on taking. And they've had great running backs going back to the original Oilers, won the first 2 American League championships with players like George Blanda, Charlie Hennigan, and Charlie Tolar and Billy Cannon. Then they lost the third one in double overtime to the Texans, who became the Chiefs. And they always, and most of the time, they had run-oriented offenses built around backs. They had Mike Rozier, Heisman Trophy winner. It was very important to them to get a running back. And the first really, truly great was Earl Campbell in 1978, who played for Bum Phillips. So he would absolutely love watching Derrick Henry.
John, real quick, you look at the league as a whole right now. What team in your mind is the best in the National Football League at this point, knowing, like we all know, that could certainly change?
Without a doubt, it's the 49ers. They pounded the Cowboys, they pounded the Eagles, and they pounded the Jaguars. And they did it on the road against the Eagles and the road against the Jaguars. And right now, if they keep Brock Purdy healthy, then they should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. The 3 best teams are in the NFC. No great team is in the AFC.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. John, appreciate it as always, and we will talk next week.
Chase and Joe, I look forward to reviewing the game with you guys. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Here's John McClain. Joins us every Wednesday at 9:30 here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and you can find his work, sportsradio610.com in Houston. We'll keep it going and shift gears into some Predators action. They got the big OT win last night against Philadelphia. Ryan O'Reilly will join us coming up next. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing McKay, Big Joe Dubin hanging out with you on this Wednesday. Predators get another big win last night, 3-2 in overtime. Who else but Philip Forsberg, as he set a franchise overtime goals record, and the Predators get that win. And Joe, we're going to be joined by Ryan O'Reilly here in just a second, but that was a huge win for the Preds.
Oh, it was. We landed last night, got in the car, got to listen to the incredible, wonderful, amazing Pete Weber, and then went to overtime. I'm like, yeah, just in case, because I saw what Forsberg did last time in, 14 or 18 seconds, whatever it was.
14.
Yeah, I said, just in case it happens again, and I pull into my neighborhood, and sure as heck, it happened again, and love hearing Pete on that call and then Forsberg with the go. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect way to arrive back home.
Yeah, it took him 18 seconds this time. Let's bring in Ryan O'Reilly, better known as The Factor, who joins us now here on the program. Ryan, congrats on the win. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. You guys just like to make it exciting, don't you? I mean, Philip gets another quick one in overtime, but you'll take those 2 points.
Yeah, absolutely. They're huge points, and definitely, wasn't our best game through and through, but we found a way to win, and I feel that's the important thing right now. I think earlier in the year we were kind of finding ways to lose games, and now we're finding ways to win games, and it's a huge goal by Phil. I think none of us knew where the puck was. Next thing he just taps it in for us, so it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, and he said it was a heavy shot, and then he, I guess, saw it and was able to tap it in, but he kind of knew. Listening to his interview after the game, it felt like he knew that it was going in.
Yeah, he kind of you could see like the goalie, once he shot it, he was kind of like he didn't really have it, and then the rest of us on the ice just thought it was covered, and then he just kind of pulled it right out of between his legs, and it was good. It was a good sight to see, that's for sure. Nice play.
And you mentioned, and Coach Burnett mentioned it last night too, that maybe it wasn't your best game overall, but what does it do for a team that you hang in those games? Philadelphia's been playing well. I saw them earlier in the year when they were still trying to figure some stuff out, and now they kind of have. So to be able to hang tough in a game like that, get your goalie to stand on his head, and ultimately get the win, what does that do just for the confidence of a team?
Yeah, I think, when you squeak them out like that, definitely, like you said, just gives us confidence. And, when things don't always go our way and such. And, the Flyers, they played well. They played extremely fast. They gave us a lot of issues for speed. But Juice really was just unbelievable. He made, some saves that, I don't know how he got across and made them, but he was definitely our best player last night. But, just, find ways to win games and get points is the most important thing. And, for us, it's, we know that if, we do show up, put our best game forward, it's going to even give us a better chance to win more hockey games. So it's, 2 points are 2 points, and you got to keep adding them up.
Ryan, I know you've played against Philip Forsberg for years in the league, but what is it about him? What do you see about him now that makes him, now you're his teammate, that makes him that special and unique player?
Oh gosh, yeah. There's so many things that he's playing at a different level. The one thing I love and admire about him is just like the radius in which he handles the puck in. I feel like you can put the puck anywhere near him, and he's just under full control with it at all times. And some of the times, like the craftiness of him, there's a wizard out there. Some of the things you don't even know how he does it. It's definitely fun to watch and it's fun to play with. And definitely when I played against him, it was always a challenge. You never know what he's going to do. And as you can see, he's rolling now and really making some huge plays for us to help win. And he's definitely a big part of it.
Ryan, you've played on some great teams, Stanley Cup winning teams. What do you see in this Nashville Predator team now that's kind of a common denominator with all the other teams you were part of that were so successful?
I think when we dial in and we're hard to play against and we're smothering teams and skating, you can see how we can frustrate. And I think on the best teams I've played on, that's been the key. To kind of flip that switch, frustrate teams and just kind of lock it down. And I look at our personnel too, and we've got our goaltending's I think the best in the league. We've got great D. We've got veteran D, some D that have won too, that know what to do. And also Yost back there too, which is phenomenal. Does so much. And up front, I think we got great depth and some young guys that are really taking a step. So we've got so many good pieces. We just have to keep building our game, keep getting better because we're getting closer.
Ryan O'Reilly is with us. Predators forward. They're 7-3-0 in their last 10 and just 4 points out of the lead in the Central Division. How much do you guys look at that this time of year, or is it really just you can't worry about the standings, you just got to worry about the next one?
Yeah, I think it's obviously something. We obviously see the standings and such, and it's nice to see that how we've kind of crawled back into it. Earlier in the year, I thought we were doing some good things, but we're losing games and it's frustrating. But now we turned that around. We've crawled back into it. Guys have worked so hard, and we have to just keep this rolling. We have to, like you said, stay in the process of it and just win the next game. Let's see win the next game because it comes down to it. It's crazy how tight this race comes. 82 games, and you come down, you get to the end, and it's it comes down to a few points that could give us the lead in the division and such or something like that. So you have to stay in the process, stay in the moment as much as you can, and win the next one because it's such a demand for points.
You touched on it a little bit earlier, but now that you're with UC Saros and not having to go up against him, I mean, what are some things that you've learned about him that maybe you didn't know from seeing him from afar? And obviously the way he's played as of late, Lankinen too. I mean, that's a big reason why you guys are in the position that you're in.
Yeah, both goalies have been unbelievable coming in and keeping us in and giving us a chance to win each night. Watching Juice too, just how hard he works on the ice and how dialed in he is, and the speed he gets across the ice. And you see when you play against him a little bit, and you're like, oh gosh, how do you make that save? But when you see it every day, just in practice, how quick he is, how you think you get a wide open pass back door, and next he's there and makes a save, and you're like, what just happened? It's just pretty incredible, just the speed of him and how quick he is.
We're talking to the great Ryan O'Reilly today, and Ryan, we've had so many of your teammates on this year on a Wednesday segment, and Chase has the good questions. I have the really dumb ones. So here's a dumb one for you. Your day off, what do you do today? I mean, I asked Colton Sisson, do you go to the mall? Do you walk around? What do you do today?
Well, I've got 3 kids, so they usually keep me pretty busy. I do have to do a little shopping today. We have some gift giving to get done, so I've got a little shopping and take my middle one with me, my 3-year-old. We're gonna go do that, and then we actually have our team Christmas party later today, which is kind of nice. So, my kids will be on the ice, and I'll probably jump on with them, and I'm sure they'll have. Santa will be there as well, so that'll be a fun little event for us.
Yeah, I'm checking my email. I didn't get that invite, so if I would go down anywhere,
probably a reason for that.
Exactly right, Ryan. When you're home like at night and you got the night off, and the kids go to bed, do you watch other hockey games? Because a lot of your teammates don't.
Yeah, I will the odd time. I do like to watch my brother's playing, and he's Milwaukee. So if he's playing usually on the weekends, I'll try to catch his games, but not really. I try to sometimes, I love watching football. I watch that if it's on, but I'm not the crazy hockey junkie, I guess, which is watching, all the games each night.
Ryan O'Reilly is with us. Ryan, appreciate the time today. I know that you're busy, and good luck with the shopping, and good luck this weekend with the back-to-backs.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan O'Reilly, Predators forward, joining us here on the program, and we're joined by a player every Wednesday as the Predators got the win last night, 3-2 in overtime, and I mentioned the back-to-back. They'll play Friday night in Raleigh against the Carolina Hurricanes, and then back here on Saturday against the Washington Capitals.
Chase, I want you and I to show up tonight at the Predators Christmas party dressed like the guys in Dumb and Dumber. In those tuxedos, and they said, "Who are you here for?" We're here to see Ryan O'Reilly, and they walk over to him and say, "Mr. O'Reilly, you have 2 guests here." He's like, "I don't have guests here." Hey, how are you, buddy? Can we come in? That'd be so much fun.
Listen, I think there's too many people with that team that know who we are, and they'd see us from a mile away and wouldn't let us in. But where we could get into tonight is Smashville Live at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs. That's at 6 o'clock. Cole Smith and Tommy Novak are going to be there, and they will be the special guests. You can get some autographs and pictures. Smashville Live presented by the Black Abbey Brewing Company, so be sure to check that out in Cool Springs. Max Hers, our man, will be hosting that one. But, Predators are just on a tear right now, JoJo.
I was going to ask him a really dumb question because I'm really good at those. I was going to say, hey, Ryan, isn't winning fun? It's just fun. I mean, you saw when the Dolphins were bad for years. Now they're winning and everybody's having a great time. And it's not really that weird with the Predators, but as far as winning goes, it's just fun. It makes everything better. It's that simple. It's so odd. But winning is really the main thing of everything else that goes on. If you win, you have a good time.
All right, reset our question of the day, and we'll read some answers coming up next.
Yeah, we got a lot of good texts on this. What is the friendliest place you've been to see your favorite team play? We say this because we left Miami. We talked to a lot of Titans fans on the plane and down there just raving about how nice all the Miami Dolphins fans were to them before, during, and after the game. So we want to hear what's the friendliest place you've been. We always hear the negative all the time. This place is terrible. They're mean to me. They cussed at me. They shot me a bird. We want to hear what the positive is. 615-737-1025.
That is our phone and text line driven by Wilson County Hyundai. It's the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin, presented by Regal Realty Group. Taking your calls and texts on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. The friendliest stadium experience that you've had at an opposing team stadium. So if you went to see the Titans play elsewhere, just the friendliest one that you have had. A few people have weighed in on this and has said Kansas City when they went for the AFC Championship game a few years ago. I'm trying to find one specifically. All right, 1311 says, I was in Kansas City and saw Mariota. Oh, this wasn't the AFC Championship game. This was a few years earlier. Saw Mariota throw the touchdown pass to himself in the playoffs, and there were some pretty rude fans on the way out. Then during the AFC Championship game, when the Titans lost, everybody was awesome and gleefully saying, good game. My worst experiences ever have been at Nissan Stadium with opposing fans acting like they own the place. Example, Bills, Raiders, Colts, and Jags.
That's true. Hey, can you read Hair Metal Henry's? Because it's the first time he sent us a text without cussing.
Yes. Kansas City for the AFC Championship game for me. Their fans were awesome. After the loss, we went into a bar to get some hot wings and beers, and this little old lady turned around to us in line and gave us big hugs and said, I'm sorry, baby, but you're in our place now. You have to buy the beers. That's awesome.
I'm surprised he didn't shoot her a bird and walk out. So, Hair Metal Henry, you're getting older, you're maturing, and we love that.
Yeah, we love that indeed. 414 Tyler says, surprisingly, it was Death Valley.
Wow.
I was unfortunately there for the 13-men UT game when everyone was so polite, and they all felt so bad for how the game finished. I mean, it was especially unfortunate, so it could have been that.
He means LSU, not Clemson. Yeah. That was a moment.
Dooley?
That was a Dooley moment, 2010, and I don't think he had 13 men on the field. I think he had 19. It was absolutely chaotic down there. I think it was Dooley's first year in 2010 when that happened down there. So that's good to hear because we've heard some really interesting things about LSU and Tiger Stadium down there as well.
What happened in I think it was the Music City Bowl. Wasn't it something similar with Dooley? They had too many men on the field?
Yeah, but it's something that it all happened so fast, and that's when North Carolina won there at the end of the game. That was 2010, and something crazy. We don't – Tennessee fans like to forget that 3-year period of 2010-12 where he was around.
Dustin in Hopkinsville, I don't know nicest, but Vols fans that came to Lexington were nice. I'm a UK fan, but the worst I've encountered are tied between Red Wing fans and Buffalo. I had Red Wings fans ready to jump me just because I was yelling at Red Wings players. Does your grandma play? And fire in the hole, LOL. They hated this.
That's terrible.
They hated how country I sounded, and we were whooping them like 5-1.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. But, we come off this because, the Titans fans, again, our flight last night was packed with Titans fans who went down there and a few Dolphins fans as well. And just talk about how nice the Dolphins fans were. We parked in a place where we shouldn't have parked Monday night. And then we kind of very nice tailgating, people out there having a good time. And so we kind of saw a little bit of that on Monday night.
Let's go to the phones. Tom has a stadium story. Tom, welcome in.
Hey, thanks. In 88, I lived in Philadelphia and was a pretty serious Eagles fan. And we flew to Chicago for the New Year's Eve divisional playoff game that became the Fog Bowl.
Yeah.
So we dressed super cold, all ready to go. We land at O'Hare, and it's like 55 degrees. And we get on the train to go to Old Soldier Field, and it's like 60 degrees. And Bears fans were not kind because we were wearing our green, and having a great time. Right before halftime, that fog rolled in, and Randall Cunningham was throwing it all over the yard, and it was getting kind of testy. But the Bears were ahead. But, man, we never saw the rest of the game because it was foggy, and the Bears fans around us, they couldn't see the game. And back then, let's just say the rules of what you could bring into a stadium were a little different. All these thermoses cracked open, and it wasn't hot chocolate and it wasn't coffee. God knows what it was. But by the end of the game, we were happy. We were friends. We were exchanging jerseys. And we got on the train and we went back to O'Hare. And we went into the Red Carpet Club, and there was Brent Musburger sitting there, and we tried to talk to him, and he didn't want to talk to us. But that was.
Did he hit on your wife?
Well, my wife wasn't with me, but he might have.
He would have.
But that was New Year's Eve. I flew back to Philly. We were supposed to go to.
Great story, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate it. That's a good one.
Oh my!
The Fog Bowl.
Yeah, the Fog Bowl. I vividly remember that one because that's Jeff Fisher was part of the Fog Bowl. He was a coach on the Eagles staff.
So that was what
88.
88. Gotcha. So that was Buddy Ryan.
Buddy Ryan was on there. Reggie White was on that team. I think Jerome Brown was on that team. That was a hell of an Eagles team too.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's a good one. Hair Metal Henry had to throw this pot shot in there. Vanderbilt is also a great stadium for opposing fans to come to the game because there are no Vandy fans there to get into an argument with. Thank you, Henry. Had to throw that in
yeah,
there.
I'm proud. That's 2 texts he sent us where he's not cussing. So I'm really liking this new Hair Metal Henry.
He's a changed man.
He is. Let's see. What's one about? I saw one earlier. Oh my goodness, Joe, where did it go? I can't navigate this thing. Anyway, keep them rolling in here as I try to figure out the text line.
615-737-1025. We'll talk to Hal Gill here in just a few minutes. So I was reading this morning, Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano of ESPN were doing like their insider stories and like the hot seat for coaches, the buzz that they're hearing and guys that could be out. And there's one little blurb. They're talking about the NFC South and what might happen in New Orleans and Tampa. And Fowler says, here's a wild card for you, Dan. What about a team trading for Tennessee's Mike Vrabel? He's going on 2 consecutive down seasons, but he would be coveted on the open market. New England would make a lot of sense if it doesn't go with Mayo, because everybody's saying that Belichick is probably out. Graziano says, I think Vrabel is an interesting one to watch. He's certainly delivered the strong resume tape Monday night with the victory over the Dolphins. He was in New England earlier this season during Tennessee's bye week, then inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame for contributions as a player, and I would not be at all shocked if succeeding Belichick were of interest to him. To be clear, I have no inside information to indicate that it is or that he wants to leave Tennessee. The Titans want to keep him, and they crave stability with a new stadium project on the horizon. Vrabel is extremely well regarded in coaching circles, and if he ever wanted to try his hand with another organization, he would be in high demand. That was Graziano. There's more in the column as well.
So basically, that's only his opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's just Fowler just kind of threw it out there.
Well, great coaches aren't found, at Dollar Tree. I mean, you got to go, which I have found a lot of great deals at Dollar Tree, but you got to go and find these coaches out there who are going to be good. And, nobody has time. Nobody has patience anymore. Like the Cardinals coach is going to get fired probably. That guy from Philly I've never heard of. He will not have time to develop 3 to 4 years of a program. It's not going to happen. The 5 years now was gone down to 3, and Chase, sometimes it's gone down to 2 years. You have 2 years.
Sometimes you don't even get one.
True. I don't think the Cardinals guy gets another year. I don't even know his name. Now, how bad is that?
Yeah, I don't know if he does either. And, I mean, Frank Reich got the 1 year or less than a year in Carolina. He'll never get another shot being a head coach.
Right. Let's go to Brian is on the line with a stadium story as well. Good morning, Brian, and thank you.
Morning. So I grew up in Tennessee as an Alabama fan because my dad grew up in Alabama, so he raised me to be that way. And we went to a bunch of Alabama games down there and all when I was like 5 years old. And then we went for a stretch where we would go to the Music City Bowl. Alabama was there multiple times. Got to see Michael Vick and
Nice.
1 year, and then Lawrence Maroney and Marion Barber another year. And both of those teams beat our Alabama tail. But then 1 year there was a mix-up, and we had gotten tickets because we expected to go to the Music City Bowl, but Georgia was the one that was invited, and they were playing Boston College. And we'd bought them enough in advance that it was going to be good seats for us, but we ended up we were sitting behind 2 very drunk Georgia fan and in front of a very drunk Boston College fan. And they were drunk when we walked into the stadium. And let me tell you something. There is plenty of things that are finer in the land than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan. But before the game even started, they were trying to fight over top of us. And I'm thinking I'm probably like 10 or 12 years old here. And my dad's just trying to keep the peace and keep his son safe. And by the end of it, we've swapped seats with the Boston College fan, and he's become a Georgia fan. It was like just absolute chaos, and that was my first real showing of a just an absolute belligerently inebriated individual.
Okay, and then wow, all right, that's a great story. Thank you, Brian. Go ahead.
And they all lived happily ever after.
They did. And then Brian's like, "Hey, that drunk Boston College fan, is that Tim Hasselbeck? What's he doing here?"
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
It's funny. Like when I saw Tim at the Vanderbilt game earlier this year, it was Vanderbilt Hawaii.
Yeah,
he said that like that was only like the second or third college football game that he's like attended as a fan in his life, or like since in his adult life.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, exactly. That's the you're busy calling college games and everything else. You don't get the opportunity just to go and enjoy that. But it was good talking to him that night as well.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Hey, real quick, I found what I was looking for. It was Alex from Montreal had said his worst experience or best experience was, as I pull this up here on the text line here. You doing okay? One time I jumped up cheering for Chris Johnson touchdown New York City versus the Giants, and a huge guy said, "Sit down, hillbilly." I said, "Hey, man, I'm from Montreal." The guy says, "Why the F are you a Titans fan then?" And then bought me a beer. We had a great time, and the Titans got a big win during that. Hillbilly, people love calling us hillbillies.
I know.
And I love whatever. Just keep calling us hillbillies. That's because I tell you what, there are hillbillies in New York City, there are hillbillies in Los Angeles, and there's a damn hillbilly in Montreal. We're everywhere.
Okay, so Colin just texted this in because this has turned into now the negative experiences, but I can't believe this one. As a Titans fan, I went to the Ravens game in 2001. A Titans fan in front of us, probably a 70-year-old woman, turned around to a group of guys behind us and yelled, quote, "At least no one on our team has ever killed anyone," end quote, in reference to Ray Lewis. They threw batteries at her.
Batteries.
No idea why they had pocket full of batteries. Best part, security asked her to leave.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, do you carry batteries around?
Who carries batteries?
Good Lord.
They got to stay charged up.
Dr.
I see what
Crane.
you did there. All right, we'll continue the Preds talk next with our man Hal Gill. Usually joins us on Tuesday. He'll join next, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. He's a Big Joe. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe, and usually on Tuesdays we talk to our man Hal Gill, our pal Hal, but he joins us now. Appreciate him moving around. Presented by Duncan. Skillsy, what's up? How are you?
I'm so sorry you guys had to sit by the beach down in Florida. I apologize for moving my schedule so that you could relax by the beach.
Well,
it was
what
tough,
a setup
man.
you guys had.
Hal, have you ever seen Chase with his shirt off? Let me tell you what, that wasn't a pleasant experience.
A mass exodus from Florida yesterday.
Right.
People running.
He may have, on some road trips, but we don't talk about that. But whatever. But Skillsy, a gutsy win last night, a gritty win, however you want to put it. They didn't play their best, and that's coming from them. That's and an observation for me as well. But they still get the 2 points with the overtime win. What did you think about last night?
Yeah, it was a tough one. I'm looking at it going, they're out of sorts. They're not, they're not playing their game. But I was real impressed from Philadelphia. They play a hard, fast game. They were just coming, and they had Dad's trip to Nashville, so they were buzzing. The thing that I will say about it, and sometimes I lose sight of it because I'm out of the game. I'm not in that locker room, but sometimes you're in the locker room and you're fighting through it. It's not always going to be roses, and you fight through it. And Juice made some awesome saves, and he was fantastic, and he kept them in it. And then they ended up getting 2 points with the Forsberg OT winner. I just think those are some of the games that you define a season. You get confidence from those, that even though we didn't play our best, we played against a good team and we found a way to win.
They have 6 more games before the Christmas break, the holiday break, which is only 3 days. But the schedule is very compact right now, and we've seen the Predators, play well. I mean, they're 7-3-0 in their last 10. So do you think that that's a good thing, especially early on in the season, in the first half of the season, to have such a compact schedule?
I look at it both ways. Like it's so fun to kind of just crank out games, and you don't get distracted. You don't have a lot of practices. You just play every other day, and it can be fun, but at the same time, it's exhausting. Like these guys are spent. I've been traveling with them, and I'm exhausted. I'm not even playing the game. So I think they must be so excited to have a day off today to just relax, spend time with their family, whatever they're doing, just to kind of finally you got a 2-day break, because it's been back-to-backs and every other day for a while now. And so, this break, this little day off here is huge. You got a back-to-back coming, then you got a little more spread out schedule, a little more normal schedule. I'm sure Bruno would love to get some practice time in, but that just doesn't happen. And especially with all the injuries that guys have been coming back from, you don't have practice time to get reacclimated. You don't have a good hard practice day to say, okay, I feel like I'm ready to go in a game. And so these guys are coming in. You look at Novak coming in, Glass, Shen. These guys are jumping back in the lineup without any practice. So as much fun as it is, I think taking the reset and getting some days off will be huge for this team.
Hal, I know what they are doing tonight. They have a Christmas party that Chase and I did not get invited to. Did you get invited to the Christmas party, Hal?
Of course. If you want Christmas cheer, I'll bring it. So, yeah.
Can we be your +2 tonight? Is that okay?
Unfortunately, with having kids, life goes on, and they're busy. So sometimes Christmas parties take a back seat to the kids.
Right, exactly. Hal, just seems like yesterday this team was 5-5, had 10 points, and now they're just clicking with everything going on. What do you think was the one thing that hit them? Like, you know what? Was it like, we got something special here, we need to start playing better? Anything you can put a finger on?
Well, I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think, first of all, Bruno's system is a different system than they had played in the past. They're trying to move a little more movement defensively. Obviously, they want to extend plays offensively, and so it's not a dump and chase team anymore. They're not going in and working the forecheck like they was their MO for years. Now they're trying to extend plays, be creative in the offensive zone, but defensively, I think they had struggles trying to figure out where D are supposed to be and how they're supposed to defend. And I think you're seeing Juice is phenomenal now. I think he was playing great before, but it was just different looks. He's getting their weak spots defensively were coming from different angles, and so it was an adjustment period for him as well. So I think, there's a lot of things that go into it. I think having new players and developing new chemistry has also been a big part of that. But right now, I feel like I don't know. It's a different vibe that I'm getting. It's not as much a leadership group as everyone knows their role, and everyone is going to contribute and give you that role. And right now, that's what teams need. It's not a top six team anymore. I feel like they're getting contributions up and down the lineup because everyone feels like they're part of success. And that's a big thing for a team, especially you don't find that too early in the season. Sometimes that takes 3/4 of a season to build that trust that, hey, I have a big role on this team and I'm going to help us win.
Explain this to me, Hal. When you're in basketball, if a guy gets hot in the opposing team, you put a guy on him. In football, if a receiver's really good, you triple team him or whatever goes on. How do you defend Philip Forsberg if you're an opposing team in that kind of way? Do you put a man on him? How does that work?
Well, it's funny. I think Travis Konechny is asking himself that now after that overtime goal because I don't know if you didn't read the scouting report, but Phil's a shooter, and he kind of stayed back and laid off him and gave him a chance to shoot, and then didn't follow up as Phil is charging for the rebound. And that's kind of a different Phil than we've seen before. I think Phil, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, he would have shot that puck and then kind of looped around like, it didn't go in, and kind of skated away from it. Last night, he shoots the puck and then drives the net looking for a rebound and then almost made him, right? I mean, he made himself a rebound. He went back and pulled it out of the backside of the goalie and scored a goal. So, and a big one. And so that's, it's tough to defend. I say if you're going to play against the best players in the league, you got to defend them as a group, but one guy has to be aggressive. That's the big thing is the best players in the league, if they have space and time, they're going to make you pay. And Phil did that. You got to extend out at him, and you got to, you might get beat, but you got to go and at least try, and then depend on your teammates to kind of bail you out if you do get beat.
Hal, one more non-Preds question for you. The Blues announced late last night that Craig Berube had been relieved of his duties. Obviously, coached with them for a while, won the Stanley Cup. Were you surprised by that move, or does that make sense with the rebuild that they're in?
I don't know. I think it's a tough one. I look around the league, and if I'm a general manager, you look around and see what teams they're doing. Minnesota, fires their coach, and then they have some success, and then Edmonton, okay, they fire their coach, and all of a sudden they're steamrolling back into the league ranks. So I think if you notice that something is going wrong with your team, it's too hard to trade guys. I think Barry Trotz was on the radio talking about, we want to make some moves and we want to do something, but no one has cap space to make moves. So you can't just trade a guy. You can't just move a guy and try to change the mojo of your team. The easiest thing to do is fire your coach, and it's a sad thing for Berube. I think obviously he did some great things in St. Louis, but I think you need to change something, and maybe that's the easiest thing, and you bring in a new voice and maybe a different swagger, and hopefully for St. Louis, they're looking for something to trigger that team. And so I love Chief. Berube is a great guy, and I'm sure he's going to get, he'll get on the cycle of coaches that come around and go around and come back around again, and he'll be somewhere soon, I imagine. But time for a change in St. Louis, I guess.
Yeah, that is for sure. Skillsy, appreciate it as always, and we'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for coming back safe and taking care of everything down in Florida.
Hey, you're welcome. Anything for you, Hal.
Cheers.
He is Hal Gill, presented by Duncan, every week, talking some Preds hockey with him. We'll put a bow on things next, and America's favorite game, celebrity birthdays, on the Chase and Big Joe Show, presented by Regal Realty Group, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
There we go. Hey, guys, hope you're having a good Wednesday. Listen to me. I want you to say goodbye to all those high medical bills. Look, when you use medical house calls, you don't have to worry about hidden fees or surprise charges. Medical house calls is revolutionizing how patient care is getting done. Patients pay one flat fee no matter the treatment, making medical house calls more affordable than the average urgent care and emergency room. Also, this cold and flu season, you can get tested and treated without leaving your home. That's right. Their mobile medical services are here to make your health a top priority. Simply visit medicalhousecalls.com and see what everyone is talking about. All the great numerous reviews are right there on the webpage, medicalhousecalls.com. In fact, Chuck McDowell loved the treatment he received. He bought the company. That's how awesome they are. medicalhousecalls.com, where the nearest clinic is your home.
Hey, 102.5 The Game has teamed up with Mookie Betts, hi Taylor, and his AIM Foundation to help underprivileged members of our community. You can email your bids to this address, enteryourbids@gmail.com. It's enteryourbids@gmail.com for either the family package that includes Mookie Betts t-shirts, hats, miniature Dodger baseball bats, and Mookie Betts autographed baseballs, or the game day package that includes a $500 Southwest gift card, Mookie Betts jerseys, Dodgers or Dad Gang hats, 2 tickets to a Dodgers game in Los Angeles, and a photo op with Mookie Betts himself. Email those bids now to enteryourbids@gmail.com. That's enteryourbids@gmail.com. Pretty cool. And I believe Mookie's going to join us at some point later in the week, or join the station at some point later in the week. But looking forward to that.
We got responses are so great coming in. What's the friendliest stadium you've ever been to? This is from 5282. Says, I went to all the playoff games and Super Bowl of the year of the Titans. In Indy, I carried a sign that said, Indiana is only for basketball. That did not go over too well. Jacksonville, we sold our extra ticket to a 6'4", very big Australian dude who decided at the moment he was a Titans fan. When people started throwing stuff at us, he stood up, turned around, gave a growl, and all was good. So thank you for all the stories today.
Yes, very, very good and good participation. As once again, the show has flown by. I get a little sad at the end of every show because that means I actually have to go work now.
We didn't get sad in Miami yesterday.
Well, no, because it was
Miami.
It was Miami. It was nice. We had the music going, so it was a good time. But with that, let's get to America's favorite game, Celebrity Birthdays. Celebrity Birthdays presented by Zach Pillar and his new Instagram account. Follow Zach on Instagram at Zach Pillar Design 69 and step into his world. JoJo?
All right, here we go, boys. First birthday today is the legend, the great Dick Van Dyke. Chase, how old is Dick Van Dyke today?
88.
I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to go 93.
He's 98 years old today.
Wow.
And still can come here and whip our tails left and right. Yeah. Actor Steve Buscemi. How old is Steve Buscemi?
I think it's Buscemi.
Buscemi, whatever.
He had one of my favorite lines in the movie Con Air. 62.
67.
66.
Nice.
Steve Buscemi is 66. Buscemi, 66. Actor Jamie Foxx. How old is Jamie Foxx?
56.
Big pickleball guy, by the way. 58.
56 exactly.
Boom.
Job chaser. What's doing? Singer Amy Lee, the lead singer of Evanescence.
Been around a while. 52.
59.
42. Well done. Chase, if you don't get this one, man, how old is Travis Kelce's girlfriend today?
Oh, today's Taylor's birthday?
Yes.
All right. Taylor Swift is 34.
I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to go 37.
And like a true stalker, she's 34. Well done, Chase. Good Lord.
How about just call me a Swiftie?
No, stalker's better. All right, actor, singer John Davidson used to host That's Incredible, hosted Hollywood Squares, $1,000 Pyramid. John Davidson.
79.
I'm going to go 63.
82. Singer Ted Nugent. How old's Ted Nugent?
73.
81.
75. Chaser's up 3-1. He's going to try to impress Taylor Swift today. Country singer John Anderson. Just a swingin'.
John Anderson, 68.
Let's go 62.
69. All right, Chase, you got 4. You're on a roll, man. This is good. We have not. It's been a while. We've had this many correct. Singer Morris Day of the Time. You got to get this. America, have you heard?
Yeah, no. I love Morris Day and the Time.
Come on, buddy.
67.
63.
67 exactly. And Nick, Dr. Crane's cheating with Derek Mason back there.
No. Just chatting about the weather.
Oh, my goodness. Chase, you're up 5-1. All right, we got to get a roll here, okay? She used to be on The View. Debbie Matenopoulos. She was on The View for a while. Blonde-haired lady. Come on, buddy.
64.
I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to go 75.
She's 49.
Oh, boy.
All right, you tried, Chase. Congratulations, man. You won, though. Good job.
You don't have any more?
Yeah, you want one more?
Give me one more.
Okay. Gosh, my thing froze on. Okay, here we go here.
It's never good.
I know, right? Hello. Let's go. Lead singer of Alabama, Randy Owen.
Oh, okay. Randy Owen is 75.
78.
74. Chaser, you got 6. If you get this one, you tie Willie Donick, all right? You ready?
Yep.
Guitar player Jeff Skunk Baxter of the Doobie Brothers.
73.
Oh, boy. Let's see. I'm going to go a little higher at 79.
75. Chaser is tied Willie Donick.
You don't have one more on the docket?
I got Chaser. One more?
Yeah, real quick.
Oh, God. Hang on a minute. Actress Wendy Malick. She's an actress. She's been in a bunch of things. Wendy Malick. Tall, brunette. She was in Just Shoot Me.
51.
I don't know. We're going to go 45.
73.
Tied Willie, though.
I tried.
You did. You tied Willie with 7. Well done.
That was fun. That will do it for us. Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace, they are coming up next.
Yeah, as always, to our guys out there, we'll let you guys know that we love you. And if you need to talk to somebody to reach out, please call 988 on your cell phone. Please do that. If you need to talk to me, you know where I am on socials. Find me. I'll talk to you any time of the day. So will Chase. We'll let you guys know that we love you. And our world is a better place because you are here. Please know that.
Yes, indeed. Chasing Big Joe back at it tomorrow at 9. Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace next.